Most sellers change their pricing maybe once and then they forget about it. Even the savvy sellers, every few weeks, maybe when a competitor undercuts them, they'll adjust and that's about it. And the truth is, if you're one of these brands, you're leaving profit on the table. Not just revenue, like actual profit, because you're always reacting instead of being strategic. One of the brands we work with, we set up pricing automation for them. Their profit went up by 32%. That was the only variable that we changed. After scaling over 50 brands and doing over 205 million in sales, this is how we actually think about pricing at GigaBrands. And these are the rules that we set, these are the tools we use, and this is why most sellers get it wrong. Manual pricing doesn't typically work. The core problem is most sellers set a price based on what feels right or what their competitors are doing, but they're not optimizing for profit. And by the time they notice a competitor's changed their price, they've already left the money on the table. When we go a bit deeper, there's a lot of things that we want to look at. We want to look at impression share, click share, add to cart share, the purchase percentage. These metrics are really important and these are not stagnant. And most sellers, they're stagnant. They're changing things manually or even if they're changing at all. So it's really important to look for patterns in what's going on from specific search term. For instance, on this term, we're tracking week over week performance on all the pillars. So if a competitor is running a huge coupon, the competitor changes the pricing for short periods of time, this can impact what's going on from a pricing perspective and it should be included inside your data models. A lot of e-commerce is data modeling. It's taking this stuff, putting it into data models, and being able to run algorithmically and understand what are the patterns in your niche, what are the patterns in the search terms, and how can we play with machine learning algorithms in order to get you as effective as possible, especially when it comes to pricing. And being able to map out what's going on and continue to improve based on variables that are a little hard for just a normal human to quantify and typically don't have the time to do so. Here's the thing, you don't need to be the cheapest in order to win the buy box. Amazon looks at sellers' metrics. They look at fulfillment, they look at pricing, they look at regional distribution. And what I see in the market, most sellers are selling themselves short. So we want to think about things differently. It's not just about being the cheapest. It's not just about running yourself to the bottom and destroying margins. It's about finding ways that you can get every single piece and ounce of effectiveness out of that Amazon funnel. Imagine you're squeezing a lemon or a lime and you just want to get as much juice as possible. And this is what automating pricing does. It's going to contribute to the fact that you can increase your profit margins. You can increase your efficiency. When brands come to me, I continually tell them the same thing. There is no magic bullet that's going to scale you on Amazon. If you're looking for some shiny fix or some magic bullet, it doesn't exist. It's thousands of golden BBs. This is a bigger golden BB. This is something that most sellers aren't taking advantage of, and it makes a substantial impact for a lot of brands that we take on. The unit economics is a real thing, and it's the nitty-gritty part of Amazon that people might not love. I don't think anyone wakes up and they're like, hey, I want to get better at unit economics. But maybe they do. I mean, I do, I guess. These are the non-shiny things that actually move the dial. I should mention that if you want the full breakdown of how we think about pricing, PPC, creative systems, you can download our Amazon Scale Playbook. It's the first link in the description. An important part of pricing automation is a few factors. We want to set a floor price, that's a minimum acceptable margin. That way we can calculate as we go in variance and fluctuate, what is the lowest you are willing to take before you're losing money. When we do pricing automation strategy, it's really important to set a floor price, a minimum acceptable margin. What's the lowest that you're willing to go before you're either losing money or you're having trouble sleeping? We also want to have a ceiling price set. That's the conversion drop off. At what point does going to a higher price hurt your conversion rate? We also need to set competitor triggers, when we want to match, when we want to hold, and when to let them have it. As with almost everything in Amazon, these things are intertwined. When you can improve your margins, you can spend more on advertising, you can get more impressions, you can stay higher in profitability. There's so much compounding, and I call them ripples, of when you can find these points in your funnel, identify them, and increase margins, increase profitability. And there's tons of things that we can do. And when you do these things in conjunction, that is how the brands that we work with scale to $1 million, $2 million, $3 million plus a month. It's been really beautiful being able to get more and more detailed and being able to scale more and more brands. In order to properly automate pricing pricing and succeed, there's a lot of factors that we need to track in order to make sure that our pricing automation is properly working. We need to look at our buy box percentage. We need to look at average selling price over time. How are we trending? What's going on? We need to understand our profit per unit. The whole point of all this is to be able to have all the data in order to build machine learning algorithms to map out your niche, what your product is, how your product performs, and tie this all together. So we have pricing, we have creative, we have the catalog, we have SEO, we have PPC. We have all these elements come together, and when done at the highest level, we can catch the flywheel. And that's where the majority of the money is made in Amazon. It's by getting the top 10, sometimes even 5% of your catalog into that flywheel in order to generate as much as possible in order to really scale the brand. It's almost mind-blowing when I see a lot of brands focusing on 80% of the catalog that just doesn't move the dial. But then again, there's so much variables. And sometimes I forget that brand owners don't see behind the scenes of 50 plus brands at once. They're not able to see the patterns. They don't have 9 developers that are 24/7 on building custom tech so we can compete at the highest levels. The more data you do, the more you realize how much the cards are stacked against smaller sellers, even medium sellers. And in order to compete at the highest levels, there's a lot of software and infrastructure that needs to be built, and it's just not cheap. It's not practical. It's very niche level knowledge that not many people have inside of knowledge work, even with AI, even with tech. The amount of people that are going to be able to navigate this data at the scale you need in order to really scale brands, pretty small. So when you combine automation of pricing, we combine improving your catalog from a click-through and conversion rate, from creative, better product value proposition. You combine being able to spend more in ads and reinvest more into different parts of the funnel. So when you zoom out and you can see pricing automation, you can see improving click-through and conversion with creative, you can see better SEO strategy. Most people do not know how to properly index inside of Amazon. And it shows through the data, through me looking at people and the ability that we have in order to take on catalogs, properly position them and scale them. Look through our website. We have tons and tons of case studies. We do this over and over and over again. Amazon is a relevancy-based algorithm. That means from a search query level, Amazon is understanding your metrics. It's understanding your click-through, your conversion, all these different elements that combined into organic rank. And when we're able to become as efficient as possible, we're able to teach Amazon we are the best product. It's not always who is the best product, it's who's the best at algorithms, who's the best at understanding how to position, regional distribution. There's so many elements in order to scale. When you sit down and you look at the math, it's actually kind of crazy how much money brands are leaving on the table. Even for a medium-sized, small brand, $500,000 in profit a year. At 33%, that's $165,000. We're talking about just 33% margin. You can get that from creative, from automation of pricing, from SEO, from catalog management, from better product value position. Honestly, it blows my mind. I just don't understand how brands could even do this manually. How are you gonna check your prices every day? Your competitors, how are you gonna build patterns? How are you gonna remember that this competitor going down by 33%, calculate a formula? It just doesn't make sense to me. Use automation when you can. It does better than we could, especially with machine learning, especially with artificial intelligence. It frees the focus so you can focus on bigger things. You can focus on growing your catalog, finding better products, focusing on different parts of your funnel. If you want the full system on what we use for pricing, PPC, creative, grab your Amazon Scale Playbook. The link's in the description. And on the other side of this, if you're a brand doing over 100,000 a month, then you can book a one-on-one between either me and my team. And on that call, we're gonna go deep in your funnel and give you the plan, a plan that you know and you feel comfortable that'll take you from where you are to the next level. You can find that with the link in the description. Now on the other side of this, you can have your pricing dialed in, but if your listings aren't converting, you're leaving money on the table. I made a video on how we scrape competitor reviews to figure out exactly what to say and how to position your listings, and you can watch that right here. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.